Hello, today I'm going to show you how to change the brake pads on the Saturn Vue 2006. First, we'll go over the tools that you'll need. A pair of gloves would be helpful. You're going to need a breaker bar or a ratchet with a pipe, a big screwdriver or a pry bar, a channel lock or two will be helpful, some brake cleaner, need brake and caliper grease. Now you don't have to buy a big one like this. They do sell little packets that you could purchase at the counter. You'll need some sandpaper because I'm sure there's going to be rust under there. I know we're going to need a 14mm socket. I'm not sure what other ones we'll need, so I have a few extra over here. You may need some wrenches. You may need something for a little persuasion. You will need something to hang the caliper with. So either a bungee cord, a coat hanger, or even a piece of string will work. A turkey baster, or even a straw, and I'll show you why later. And a can or a bottle. Again, I'll show you why later. A container for whatever nuts and bolts will be taken off. A rag be helpful. And of course the obvious. You need a jack to jack the car up. If you don't have the convenience of working inside and you're working outside, you want to make sure you're supported well. I have this jack on a couple of boards because we are on the ground. It's been raining, snowing the last couple of months. The ground's a little soft. And you can see this jack stand sunk into the ground somewhat. I relieved the pressure off the jack, and most of the pressure is on the jack stand. Jack's there just for extra support. I have this wheel cocked back here, and this other one I have a regular chuck under. Now see this chuck? This is one of the best chucks I have. Just off point. I picked this up when I was at the recycle center. Somebody had it in one of the dumpsters. Never know what you're going to find when you go to the recycle center. Anyway, let's get started on this job. Today was supposed to be a warm and sunny day, and well, like I say, politics and the weather, and I'll say no more. And one important feature, if you're working outside like I am, a cup of coffee will help you out. All right, to get started, we have to take these two 14mm bolts out. One on top, one on the bottom. And the rust isn't as bad as I thought it would be. So I'm going to try it first with the ratchet and see if we need the breaker bar. Ah, that was easy. Okay. I don't think these went in there all that long. They came out way too easy. When I work on that old Chevy Blazer, well, let me tell you, the rust I got to go through before I could do anything. Let's see. Bucket. Okay. Now sometimes this will be rusted on and you might have to tap it a few times. It's not rusted on too bad. You should be able just to pry it right off. Okay. Let's see this camera move. And you're doing this by yourself. And the outside has its own challenges. Alright, so now you don't want to let this hang by the hose. If you do, you'll be breaking this hose, putting a kink in it. You'll have to get a new hose, and you'll have to bleed the whole system. Let me get something. Here's where your bungee cord, like I said, a coat hanger, any piece of wire will do, and just find some place to hang this up where you're not putting the weight on this line. All right, gonna hook it right up onto the spring up above here. All right, that'll do. All right, we're in good shape. Now today we're not changing the rotors, but that might be a job coming up. Get these pads right out. I ordered these wherever heads. I've used these before and I never had any problem with them. But I noticed that they didn't come with these clips. I want to make sure pads are the right size pads before I go anywhere. You never know when you pick up these pads if something was put in a box, it was replaced. Had it happened before. These boxes are open, so anything can happen. Okay. There was literally nothing left to this. Here's the old pad, and here's the new pad. Look at the difference in the thickness. It was way due. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to pull these clips. Because I don't have new ones, I'm going to take these clips, I'm going to clean them off. I'm going to clean off all in here. I'm going to clean this top one, this bottom one. This is where that brake caliper grease comes in. As I mentioned before, you don't have to buy a large container like this. I bought it because it seems like I'm doing more and more brake jobs. They do sell little packages. They're $1.50 or $2 each. And usually 2 of them will do the job. Maybe 3 just to play safe. They don't go bad. Save it till the next time. I'm going to take these clips out. I'm going to clean them. I'm going to grease them. And then I'll be back. Couple things I wanted to point out. When you buy your replacement pads, make sure they have these clips. If they don't have them, pick up a pair while you're there. I made a mistake. I didn't check. I thought they were in there. If you're using the old ones like I am, be careful when you pull them out that you don't bend them. This is about the best I could clean it up right now. I could put it on a wire wheel, but this will be okay. This is going to be greased up. This is what the top one looked like, and the bottom one looked the same before I cleaned it up. So I'm going to grease this up, put them back. And also, see this pin that goes in and out? You want to make sure this slides easy. It's coming out okay, but I pulled the top one out, and you can see there's some rust in there. So I'm going to clean this up, and I'm going to grease this, and it goes back. Where am I? It goes back right in here. So this is going to be cleaned and greased. This one also. And on the caliper, these pistons, these had a little bit of rust on them. I cleaned them off with a little brush. I'm going to grease everything that touches the brake pad. You want to be careful not to get it on the rotor. We have that brake cleaner. This rotor is about to see the best of its life. So come spring, I have to check to see if I'm going to change it or not. But for now, I'm going to clean this up and grease it. Come back on camera, I'll have the pads in. I'll show you how to recess these pistons and why you may need that turkey baster. This was cleaned and re-greased and put back in, and so is this bottom one. You want to make sure this rubber lip goes all the way around. Now for the caliper itself. We have these pistons. You can see how they're out, and there's no way you're going to get the new pads on. I'm trying to get this camera focused. And there's no way you're going to get the pads on with those pistons sticking out like that. They have a tool for this, and if you don't have the tool, I almost lost the camera there. If you don't have the tool, you could just use a C-clamp. I didn't mention this in the beginning. Take the C-clamp, get the old brake pad that you took out, put the brake pad on top of the pistons, and then just open up the C-clamp. This one just makes it. And you put pressure on it with the clamp. Is the camera picking that up? So you have the old brake pad and the C-clamp. When you tighten the C-clamp, it'll push the pistons in. Having a tough time working out here with this camera. Now, as you're pushing this down, don't try to do it too fast. Just take it nice and easy. Now, before the beginning, I showed that we had the turkey baster. This is why we have it, just in case. Now, these brakes were worn down for a while, and if you added brake fluid because the brake pedal was a little low, or you took it into a shop and they did an oil change and they capped off your fluids, when you push those pistons in, this fluid's going to come up. If you see it's coming up too high, just use that turkey baster, suck some of it out and put it into the can. If you don't have that, what I've done before is I've used a straw where I put the straw in, put my finger on top of the straw and pulled it out that way. And usually you don't have to take much out unless it was really low and either you or someone else filled it to the max. So I'm gonna just put this on for now, make sure nothing blows in there. Okay, and back to this. So I'm trying to keep this camera in focus. I'm just having a tough time. Okay, you can see one piston went in more than the other. I'll just switch this over. Now, if you want to use the tool, if you go to AutoZone or Advanced Auto, they do lend out that tool. You leave them with deposit, and they refund it to you when you bring the tool back. Just going to go check that fluid. It's coming up, but it's okay. I don't think any additional fluid was added to that master cylinder. We'll find out soon enough. Check it again. Okay, it's coming up a little high now. I'm going to have to pull some out. Now, the oil on this clamp has nothing to do with the brakes. This clamp was holding something together outside. It had a little rust on it. In case you're wondering what this oil is over here. There we go. We're cooking now. That one's down. I just have the other one to do. And the fluid's at the top again. I didn't think I was going to have to take any of it out, but for some reason you have to put fluid in. Don't use the same fluid. Have some fresh brake fluid. Now keep in mind, once these brakes wear a little bit, so you might have to put some more fluid in. What I took out, I'm not sure. We'll see. That's as down as that's going. Well, I was wearing gloves. Should have stuck with them. Lid back on. Oh, look at that. Right to the top again. And I just dropped the lid. The oil. Where did that go? Never to be found again. So now, you have that recessed. See, we still in focus here. You can see how these are all the way down. Get your new pads. Those of you that are working out, that work outside in the cold, you know what this is like when your hands are cold and gets to a point they don't want to work. You see these pads, this clip right here, when your pad starts wearing down, when it gets to this point, this rubs against the rotor and it makes that noise. if you change these pads, as soon as you hear that noise, preferably before, but as soon as you hear that noise, good chance you won't have to change the rotors. If you let them go past, and some of these pads have rivets in them, but this metal will dig into the rotors, you'll have to change your rotor. So now we just get this, put this in. Let's see how this fits. Sometimes these don't fit just right. I've had them where I had to file them a little bit. So the outside one first, let's see what we're looking at. When you change the rotor, this piece has to come off. You can put these pads on while they're off. It's a lot easier, especially the back one. Okay, this is going to be a little tricky now. You saw me get these pistons recessed in. I have a little bit of the grease on the piston itself. I have it on the back of the pads. Now the trouble I was having with this pad going in, if you run into this, there's a little tab over here that was bent in. That's why it wouldn't fit. But now that that's in, put the caliper back on. See, with those pads recessed all the way in, slides on without any problem. Going to get those 2 bolts. Don't forget to get your coat hanger or your wire out of there. Let me put this up. Now, I don't know what the torque is on this. You're going to have to check the manual. I just tighten it up until it feels snug, and I give it a little bit more. For your safety, get a manual and check it out. Okay, there's that ratchet. Now, all those other sockets I didn't need, but again, I didn't know what I was going to need when I came under here. This isn't right. This feels too snug. Something's not right here. You don't want to cross thread anything, just like anything else. It's like working on anything else. You want everything to be even. There's some dirt on here. Well, something's not right here. This is going in a little too tight. It shouldn't be that tight going in like that. The bottom one goes in nice and easy. These are fine threads. So it could be just a little bit of dirt in there. I'm going to take this off. When I was cleaning everything up, a little dirt could have blew in there. See, that's how it should go in. It wasn't going that way. Okay, well, maybe I blew it out. Be careful not to drop that caliper. Okay, and get this rubber cover all the way around it. There we go. Alright, now let's see. Alright. That's more like it. So those threads are fine. So it could have been just a little bit of dust that got blown in there. Don't tighten one side down all at once. Just like when you put your wheel back on, it would tighten these bolts alternately. Okay, now bottomed out, give it a little snug. Again, I don't know what the torque should be. And that's good there. Like I mentioned, don't forget your bungee cord or your wire, whatever you have under there. If we're hearing noises, that you won't know what they are. Now I have to get this wheel on. I have to jack this up, get the wheel on, take this all apart, and set up the other side and do the other side. But I think from what I showed so far, you got the drift on how to do this. You can see where I touched this a little bit over here. I'm going to spray some of the brake cleaner on and wipe it off, wipe it on the other side. I just want to point out that after you change these pads, you want to step on the brake a couple of times before you decide to drive it. It's going to go all the way down because it's got to build up the pressure again. Then check that reserve, especially if you pulled out any fluid. Make sure you're okay with that. Pump it a few times until you feel that the brake is solid. And drive it slowly and let the brakes wear in evenly. Try not to hard brake anywhere. Just hit the brakes a few times, come into a slow stop. This way they wear evenly. So brake slowly a few times. This way the brakes have a chance to get into their wear pattern. And that's about it. If you have any questions, tips, or comments, post them down below. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, give it a like. Share it with someone else that may be able to use it. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe. Be sure to hit that notification button up in the corner here, not to miss any videos as I upload them. Until next time, stay safe, stay well.